Good morning, everyone. I want to comment this morning on a few terrorism-related matters, a terrorist regime, and a couple other items as well. Before I begin, though, I want to confirm with a heavy heart that a United States citizen, Anil Raj of California, was killed in a terrorist attack on a UN vehicle in Kabul on November 24th. There were 5 other civilians who were injured, including staff. We extend our condolences to the family and friends of the victim following this tragic incident and send our best wishes for a speedy recovery for those who were injured. Attacks targeting UN personnel working to help the Afghan people are unconscionable, and we condemn this act in the strongest possible terms. Today also marks the 11th anniversary of the Mumbai terror attack. We remember the 166 innocent victims, including 6 Americans. The brutality of the attack shocked the entire world. It is an affront. It's an affront to the victims and their families that those who planned the Mumbai attack still have not been convicted. Moving on to the world's largest state sponsor of terrorism, the Islamic Republic of Iran. President Trump and I have been following closely the protests that have recently broken out across that country. The Iranian people are once again on the streets because of the regime's poor economic management. And instead of addressing their grievances, Tehran has responded with violence and by blaming those outside of the country. Last week, the regime shut down the internet to prevent the truth about the protests from getting out. I asked Iranians to share their messages with the United States so we could expose and sanction the abuses of the Iranian regime. We've received to date nearly 20,000 messages, videos, pictures, notes of the regime's abuses through Telegram messaging services. I hope they will continue to be sent to us. We will continue to sanction Iranian officials who are responsible for these human rights abuses, just like we did last week to Iran's Minister of Communications. The Iranian regime also continues to export cruelty outside its own borders. Last week, an Iranian dissident, Masoud Malvi, was assassinated in Istanbul after he defected to Turkey from Iran. The killing of Mr. Malvi is yet another tragic example in a long string of suspected Iran-backed assassination attempts outside of Iranian soil. The regime's brutality and immorality know no international boundaries. To the courageous people of Iran who refuse to stay silent about 40 years of abuse by the ruling regime, I say simply this: the United States hears you, we support you, and we will continue to stand with you in your struggle for a brighter future for your people and for your great nation. As part of our long-standing strategic partnership with Egypt, we continue to raise the fundamental importance of respect for human rights, universal freedoms, and the need for a robust civil society. We call on the Egyptian government to respect freedom of the press and to release journalists detained in a raid last weekend. Turning to the Chinese Communist Party. We've all seen the Xinjiang papers released in recent days. They detail the Chinese Party's brutal detention and systematic repression of Uyghurs and members of other Muslim minority groups in Xinjiang. These reports are consistent with an overwhelming and growing body of evidence that the Chinese Communist Party is committing human rights violations and abuses against individuals in mass detention. We call on the Chinese government to immediately release all those who are arbitrarily detained and to end its draconian policies that have terrorized its own citizens in Xinjiang. It's not just Muslims that are the target of the CCP's hostility. Christians, Tibetans, and other minority groups have also felt the CCP's heavy hand of repression. On a different note regarding China, we congratulate the people of Hong Kong on free, fair, and peaceful district council elections on the 24th of November. The United States continues to support democratic values, fundamental freedoms in Hong Kong, as guaranteed by the one country, two systems framework and aspirations of the Hong Kong people. I also have a short announcement on Cuba. Today, the United States is taking action to prevent Cuba Metallus from circumventing U.S. sanctions. Cuba Metallus is a Cuban state-run company and the primary facilitator of illegal oil imports from Venezuela. To further contain their action, we're putting sanctions on another Cuban company, Corporación Panamericana S.A., pursuant to Executive Order 13850. Cuba Metallus was sanctioned back on July of 2019, it has since had trouble finding companies willing to conduct business with it. It has relied on this company to evade sanctions as it carries out the oil for repression scheme between Cuba and Venezuela, a scheme declared illegal by the legitimate governor of Venezuela. The Venezuelan and Cuban people continue to suffer at the hands of despotic actors who put their own interest above the interests of their people. Today's action will further squeeze the illegal profit-making scheme Cuba carries out to help the illegitimate dictator Nicolas Maduro and his unraveling network of corrupt advisors. And finally, after the holidays, I'll be hitting the road for some important diplomatic activities. First, I'll head to beautiful Louisville, Kentucky. The University of Louisville will host me for remarks at the McConnell Distinguished Speaker Series, and I'll share some thoughts on what the Trump administration is continuing to do here in the Western Hemisphere to protect the American people. Then I'll travel to London to chat with the President for a NATO leaders meeting, where the President and other allied leaders will talk about a whole host of ways to strengthen the alliance, which is now celebrating its 70th anniversary. And then I'll travel on to Morocco. It's one of our strongest partners in the region, and I'm looking forward to reviewing our country's strong economic security partnership and discussing future areas of cooperation. And then finally on to Portugal, to Lisbon. As the case with so many of our European friends, our robust ties are built on shared values of freedom and democracy, and I look forward to that visit as well. And with that, I'm happy to take a few questions.